Not long ago, we published 2 videos detailing the many hilarious and ingenious ways games found to stop you straying beyond the bounds of the map, whether that be by magical bracelet or sea monster attack. We thought we'd exhausted every game that has an inventive way of stopping you escaping, but we were so wrong. You lot suggested even more examples, so brilliant that frankly it would be a dereliction of our duty not to make a 3rd video about the hilarious ways games stop you escaping. Also, this topic is very amusing and these videos are very fun to make, so strap in and beware mild spoilers for the following.
The king needed swords for his army, and every man guilty of a crime, no matter how insignificant, was forced to work in the ore mines of Corinus. To make it impossible for them to escape, the king sent out the best magicians of the kingdom to create a magic barrier around the entire valley.
Here's what you need to know about a war against orcs. 1, it's broadly unadvisable, and 2, it's expensive. The pecuniary toll of orc battling, however, is the setup for 2001 RPG Gothic, which tells the story of a king who needs precious ore so badly he sends every convict in the land to toil in his mines, then has his wizards seal the region off to trap the convicts inside. There's just one thing the king didn't count on, however, and that is his wizards were frickin' terrible wizards.
Something disturbed the delicate structure of magic. We were trapped inside our own barrier.
Honestly, wizards can't get the staff these days. In a neat twist, that magical barrier is both plot point and game mechanic, as commenter El Bardones Y remembers. In Gothic 1, they made the barrier to make you stay inside the literal complete plot point of the magical barrier you need to escape. At the start of the game, you, an unlucky potato-faced prisoner, are shoved inside the magically sealed-off region with the task of delivering a letter to the Magicians of Fire, who apparently feel empowered to use such a cool title, despite having trapped themselves in a convict mining colony using their own magic, the idiots. After 2 minutes, however, you'll realise the valley is an extremely unfriendly place, where death waits around every corner in the form of bloodthirsty monsters, and extremely ungenerous fall damage. In response to such hardships, you might fairly think, screw this, I'm going to try and break out. But as you probably guessed, that plot-important magical barrier has other ideas. Try and stray beyond the bounds of the playable area, and your first clue that things are amiss will be an aura of blue lightning playing about your person. This is a hint that it's time to turn back. Seriously, like now. Or you could forge boldly ahead and see whether that magical wizard barrier is all it's cracked up to be. Seriously, those wizards are so fired.
In Batman Arkham Asylum, the problem of keeping the criminally insane away from the rest of Gotham was partially solved by sticking said asylum on an island. In Arkham City, however, new Mayor Quincy Sharp has weaseled his way past Gotham's planning commission and built a wall cordoning off an entire district of the city. This new enclosed compound serves to house all the baddies and also one Batman. But what if the wall isn't enough, especially when said Batman has a big cape that he can use to swoop around high in the sky like some kind of strange flying mammal? Commenter Mac Jameson explains. When Batman tries to fly over the wall dividing Gotham from Arkham City, gun turrets shoot at him. Bruce's gadgetry means he can glide well above the height of Arkham City's walls, so other things are needed to keep him in, namely, a whole bunch of bullets. To be fair, there are warning signs around the city, but when seeing these billboards, we didn't expect the gunners patrolling the walls to be so good or so quick at finding their target. Any attempt you make at escape is immediately greeted by a hail of bullets, forcing Batman to hastily and embarrassingly curve back around. I hope Joker didn't see that. It seems that the city's warden Hugo Strange was well aware of Batman's abilities and made sure his gadgetry couldn't get him out. No matter how many times you try, bats can't breach the city's turret-based security systems. Ugh, fine, I'll try to save the city. Looks like it's gonna be a late one. Alfred, you're gonna have to keep my dinner warm.
You might think that in a horror game about evading the murderous clutches of supernatural quasi-folkloric villain Slender Man, it is a little harsh that the punishment for successfully escaping the game is to be got by Slender Man. And yet, Slender the Arrival certainly deserves credit for the inventive way in which it stops players breaking free of the map, as commenter Chicken Rocket 2020 knew very well when they asked, "Why isn't Slender Man on the list?" In Slender the Arrival, you, the player, are forced to stumble blindly around hostile environments, usually in the woods, armed only with a flashlight, all the while being hunted by the gangly Slender Man terror. Your job is to try and figure out what's happened to your missing friend by collecting clues, but frankly, if you ask us, the only sensible course of action is to get the hell out of Slendertown. Trouble is, the playable area is bordered by fences and impassable rocks, but if this game thinks I won't grind and nudge my way up this hill one pixel at a time in search of a glitch in the environmental geometry, it's clearly never seen how I climb mountains in Skyrim. Should you eventually manage to glitch your way out of the woods, your reward is to explore beyond the tree line and escape into an increasingly featureless landscape. As the environmental assets grow thinner, it's clear that you have indeed successfully escaped the bit of the game you're supposed to play in. But just when you think there's no way Slender Man could possibly be programmed to get you all the way out here, the ominous message reveals itself: not even a bug in this game will save you from me. Yes, Slendy's long besooted grasp even extends to beyond the borders of his game, in this neat way of making a successful escape feel like a game over. It's a bit of a fourth wall break, but I guess who cares about the fourth wall when to get to this point you've already broken every other wall in the game. Also the floor.
Sunset Overdrive tells the story of you, an athletic hero of the year 2027, on their way back from work when suddenly a plague of energy drink-ravaged mutants tear through the world you know, destroying everything in their path and collapsing society overnight. I'm sure there's a word for that kind of thing. Thanks, Sunset Overdrive. In the wake of this monstrous energy drink plague, which creates energy drink monsters, the company Fizco, which is legally distinct from any real or existing energy drink manufacturer, decides to cover up the outbreak by quarantining all of Sunset City.
Fizco cut off all communications outside the city.
This high-tech lockdown stops you from leaving town, but gets Sunset Overdrive a spot on this list about genius ways to stop you escaping, as commenter 2 Super Dorks recalls. Surprised that Sunset Overdrive didn't make the list. The barrier literally kills your mentor and is one of the main story points. It's true, at first you might think the Fizco brand Invisible Wall is just an ironic nod to how most games have traditionally stopped you from straying too far. But Sunset Overdrive kicks things up a notch by actually having that wall play a pivotal role in the plot.
Follow me.
Specifically, a grisly end for beardy father figure and Jeff Bridges in Iron Man cosplayer, Walter, who saves your butt at the start of the game, then teaches you the ropes of survival and grinding, acrobatic, aerial ass-kicking. Walter's escape scheme is to rebuild a glider to escape town, but sadly Walter didn't reckon on the height and pigeon vaporizing powers of the game's literal invisible wall. Pretty dramatic stuff, and a cool way of working an ages-old game mechanic into the actual storyline. Very postmodern, probably, but we're not really sure what postmodern means, and if you claim to know, frankly, we don't believe you.
Detroit Become Human is a game that imagines a world where hyper-advanced, commercially available androids have become as ubiquitous as iPhones and even more expensive.
At the moment, we're doing a special promotion on this entire range at $7,999 with a 48 months interest-free credit.
Resembling humans in every way, these androids nevertheless threaten human jobs, thanks to their vast data processing power, which allows them to, for instance, rapidly compute success probabilities in hostage negotiations, or open doors easily on the first try. Yeah, first try. But there's one thing androids really struggle with, and that's escaping the game they live in, as part-time YouTube commenter and full-time anime ninja Naruto Uzumaki points out. What about Detroit Become Human, where you play as an android and attempting to leave certain spaces is against your protocol? It's the truth, while Detroit Become Human often gives the illusion of being a game where you can stroll anywhere you like, in fact you are rigidly bound by invisible walls, which the game entertainingly explains away as being your android programming kicking in to keep you on task. Feel like seeing what's down here? Too bad! According to Asimov's little-known fourth law of robotics, you're programmed to go to the bus stop. These protocol barriers stop you from breaking outside the bit of the game you're supposed to explore, but also serve as regular reminders that it sucks being an android because lousy humans expect you to follow orders all the time. Bellini paints not this way indeed, I'll show them Bellini paints, lousy humans with their programming. Or to punch them in the Bellini with my robot arms. Punch through walls, see how they like that. Punch through a car, punch through that lamppost, punch through stupid human houses, see how they like it. Punch that bin, tear that bin in half, like see them try that. Punch that tree, punch that people, punch that building, punch the whole show. Oh my god. Are you serious?
Who wouldn't want to live in the world of high fantasy? Magic spells, elves, wizards, daring adventures, and nobody expects you to bathe. Perfect. But not all fantasy realms are created equal. You might not be so keen on living in the dark fantasy world of Dragon's Dogma, for instance, where events likely to occur to you range from having your heart exploded by a dragon to being horribly mauled by a lion. But it's not all bad, surely? After all, the character you create lives in an idyllic fishing village. Sure, it's a bit corpsier since the dragon rocked up, but still, a picture-perfect seaside scene, you might think. Maybe we'll even go for a swim. Except no, you won't, or at least not for long, because the waters of this adorable seaside hamlet are teeming with invisible beasts, capable of whittling away your life before you can say, "Ow, my skin." As commenter Gizmona11 puts it, "I'm surprised the brine from Dragon's Dogma didn't get a mention in this. Nasty evil red mist that likes to absorb you if you dare ask the question, does the Arisen know how to swim?" This mysterious carnivorous force is indeed known in-game as the brine, as Roger the Knight here is only too unhappy to explain.
The brine, they call them. They say they're many, and yet one, whatever that means.
What that means is that you are completely prevented from swimming away from any landmass, as the brine happily dissolves anything that strays further than 2 feet out to sea. Which, on the plus side, makes fishing much easier, so maybe there's hope for this town's economy yet. But on the downside means you are hopelessly stopped from escaping the world of Dragon's Dogma, thanks to the mist-like waterborne menace waiting offshore to turn you into soggy chunks. In other words, there's no point trying. Just ask Roger, who here may as well be speaking on behalf of developer Capcom.
Seems this brine can be bested what's more. Not to do but avoid the water's edge.
Well, Roger, it seems we can't kill the brine, but we can kill you! On guard! Yeah, what do you have to say about that, eh? I think we sent a message.
Only the 4 lost elements will bring the world back into balance. Then I will live again. I have but one hope left, and it is you. No one else dares come here.
Most of the games covered up to this point involve making sure players aren't able to stray too far outdoors or into the wild blue ocean. Some, however, like Resident Evil and Alone in the Dark, have had more specific restrictions in mind, as commenter Roguish Paladin recalls. It sounds like you need a video dedicated to things preventing you specifically from exiting the front doors of opulent mansions. I have one. In the FMV game Zork Nemesis, an old soldier won't let you exit the front door of the castle due to an ongoing battle. Released in 1996 for home computers, Zork Nemesis was an adventure game that saw you, the player, solving puzzles and exploring ambitious 3D environments populated by occasional green-screened actors, who would show up to play out scenes that furthered the fantastical plot.
If I hear one more demon bellow, I'll go mad. It's done. I'm mad.
I mean, for the most part, they furthered the plot. One such location you ended up exploring was Castle Iron Dune, an ornate desert fortification of the kind Jabba the Hutt would build if he'd played 100 hours of Myst. You enter Iron Dune from the roof, at which point you find this is an extremely bizarre castle, full of oddities, exhibits on martial history, and pieces of torture equipment, some of which is alarmingly high-tech. I probably don't want to know what those scissors on the bottom are for, do I? You might then reasonably think it's time to get the heck out of Iron Dune, but try to interact with the front door, and this happens.
Good Lord, who are you? Never mind, stay inside. The hordes nearly broke through. Castle's deserted. I'm the only one left. But I won't desert General Kane. Not this bloke.
That's right, you are prevented from leaving by what the game asserts is a raging conflict outside, although this one dude seems to be the only combatant. As such, you are trapped inside Iron Dune for the foreseeable, but hey, at least there's foosball, which might be fun, you know, if the castle wasn't totally deserted. In a fun twist, you can eventually get out of Iron Dune through this door, although to do so you'll need to end the war outside, which is accomplished not with weapons or diplomacy, but a series of codes. This is an old-school adventure game after all.
I don't know how you did it, but hallelujah!
Outside you'll find a tank which you can drive to safety before getting out of Iron Dune and confronting the castle's owner.
Now you've seen everything I had. An army. Vast lands, unimaginable wealth.
And a torture chamber? Yeah, that's right, buddy, we saw the torture chamber. Yeah, even the scissors bit.
So those were some more of the fun and ingenious ways that games stopped you from escaping. Can you think of any more? I mean, like, you've already given us so many fabulous suggestions. Please keep them coming because they're just very funny and these videos are so much fun to do. Maybe we'll just make these forever. But no, actually, we won't, because we do make loads of other videos, other fantastic list videos, and also we do lots of live streams. So we play video games, sometimes we sit and chat about video games. It's all fun. If you enjoyed this, do make sure you like it and subscribe to see way more stuff like it in future. Thanks for watching. Bye!